The afternoon rush was in full swing at Meridian Bank and Trust. Chief Warrant Officer John Miller, a man who had fought in wars and carried the weight of decades on his shoulders, stood quietly at the teller's window. In his hand was a U.S. Treasury check, the payment he'd waited years to receive, meant to fix his broken roof and visit the family he hadn't seen in too long. But when he placed the check on the counter, the young teller's eyes narrowed with suspicion. "This check doesn't look right," she said coldly. "I can't accept it." John's calm cracked, but he held his ground. "This is a valid Treasury check from the Department of Veterans Affairs. My name is on it, and here's my ID." Her response stunned him. Without hesitation, she fed the check into the shredder, the machine devouring years of his sacrifice and hope. Shock froze John's voice. Around him, whispers grew. The teller's blind obedience to protocol had just destroyed a veteran's lifeline. Seconds later, the bank doors burst open. A stern woman flanked by agents entered, a figure of authority who didn't tolerate injustice. What followed would expose a reckless abuse of power, a story no one expected to unfold in a quiet bank lobby. What happens when a veteran's hard-earned payment is shredded like trash, and who holds the real power to stop it? If you believe in standing up for those who served, hit like and subscribe now, because this is a fight you don't want to miss. True Stories Unveiled brings you truth, justice, and stories that demand to be heard. The shrill sound of the shredder still echoed in John Miller's ears as the last bits of his treasury check disappeared into oblivion. Around him, the once busy bank lobby froze, the hum of the midday crowd faded to a stunned silence. John stood motionless, the weight of disbelief pressing down on his chest. His hands trembled slightly as he looked toward Sarah, the young teller whose eyes betrayed no remorse, only a rigid certainty that she had done what was required. "Do you realize what you just destroyed?" John asked, voice barely steady. "That check was my lifeline." Sarah shrugged, her tone flat and rehearsed. "Bank policy. Suspicious instruments get shredded. I followed protocol." His mind raced. Years of military service, countless missions, every detail logged with precision. Yet here, in a place meant to safeguard people's money, the most basic respect had been shattered along with his check. He swallowed hard, his voice growing firmer. "You didn't follow the full protocol. You didn't even call for verification." Sarah's expression hardened. "I don't need to explain myself." Before the tension could escalate further, the bank manager, Mr. Davies, stepped out of his office, eyes narrowing as he took in the scene. "Sarah, what is going on here?" His voice was calm but carried an edge. Sarah repeated her explanation, her words rehearsed as if reading from a script. "The check had irregular routing numbers and unusual paper stock. I ran it through the UV light and typed the details in, but there were too many red flags. I shredded it before it could be processed further." Davies nodded slowly, seemingly accepting her justification. "We have to protect the bank and our customers from fraud." John's frustration boiled over. Protect the bank by destroying a government-issued treasury check. This is a disability compensation check issued by the Department of Veterans Affairs. I am the payee. My ID is right here. He thrust his VA identification and driver's license toward them. The manager glanced briefly at the IDs but quickly averted his gaze. "Sir, I understand your frustration, but you need to follow the dispute process. We can't accept this check without proper verification." That was when whispers started to ripple through the waiting customers. Some shook their heads in disbelief. Others pulled out their phones, silently recording the interaction. John backed away slowly, his dignity bruised, but his resolve hardening. "No," he said quietly, "this isn't over." Outside the bank, John sat on a cold bench, the afternoon sun burning his back. His hands gripped his phone tightly as he scrolled to a number he had saved long ago, an emergency contact, a connection forged in years of service and trust. His fingers hovered, then pressed dial. The line clicked open on the first ring. "Office of the Under-Secretary for Domestic Finance," a calm voice answered. "This is Chief Warrant Officer John Miller, retired. I need to speak with Under-Secretary Bennett immediately. It concerns the unlawful destruction of a U.S. Treasury check by a commercial bank. It's urgent." There was a pause, then a warm but authoritative voice broke through. "John, what's going on?" John explained, detailing every moment. The teller's suspicion, the refusal to verify, the shredder that destroyed what was rightfully his. Under-Secretary Bennett listened, his breath sharp and measured. When John finished, silence filled the line for a heartbeat before Bennett spoke, voice low and fierce. "She shredded it. A Treasury check. That's not just incompetence, that's a federal offense." "Sir, I'm just outside the bank," John replied. "I haven't moved. Stay put. I'm calling in favors. Expect action fast." Minutes later, the calm outside the bank shattered again. Two sleek black sedans glided to a stop at the curb, doors opened silently. Four figures in dark suits stepped out, their presence immediately commanding attention. The air thickened with authority as they entered the lobby, badges flashing without hesitation. Inside, Sarah was mid-explanation to Mr. Davies when the agents approached, their faces unreadable but stern. "Mr. Davies, Miss Evans," the lead agent said, her voice cutting through the tension. "I am Special Agent Clark with the Office of the Comptroller of the Currency, Federal Audit Division. This is Special Agent Rodriguez from the Treasury Office of Inspector General. We are conducting an emergency audit of this branch regarding compliance with federal regulations on U.S. Treasury instruments. We've also been informed of the unauthorized destruction of a valid Treasury check issued to Chief Warrant Officer John Miller." Sarah's face paled. Mr. Davies swallowed hard. "You will accompany Agent Rodriguez for questioning," Agent Clark continued. "You are not under arrest, but this is a formal inquiry. We expect full cooperation." Under intense questioning, Sarah's composure cracked. She confessed she hadn't followed the complete verification protocol. She admitted relying on suspicion and gut feeling instead of policy. "I thought the check looked off," she said quietly, eyes downcast. "I didn't mean to cause harm, but I was just doing my job." Agent Rodriguez's tone was unforgiving. "Doing your job means protecting the public, not destroying a veteran's rightful benefits based on assumptions." Meanwhile, Mr. Davies was grilled on staff training and oversight. His defenses crumbled under the agent's relentless questioning. Outside the bank, the atmosphere shifted. Customers whispered, watching the unfolding drama with a mix of shock and vindication. John sat quietly, absorbing the moment. A regional executive from Meridian Bank and Trust soon arrived, face tight with panic. He bypassed John entirely, rushing to the manager's office, no doubt summoned by the emergency calls from higher-ups. Shortly after, John received another call. It was Under-Secretary Bennett. "John," Bennett said, voice calm but firm, "the Treasury and regulatory offices are all over that branch. Your replacement check is being electronically transferred as we speak. It will clear your account by the end of the day. All fees or penalties that might arise are being waived." Meridian Bank and Trust's leadership is under severe scrutiny, and Miss Evans is suspended pending termination. The branch manager is also facing disciplinary action. John exhaled slowly, the tension releasing. "That's more than I ever expected." "Thank you, sir." "John," Bennett replied, "you served this country with honor for decades. The least we can do is ensure our own systems respect that. You take care now, and let me know if anything else comes up." As John watched Sarah escorted out, defeated and silent, he felt a quiet satisfaction. The woman who had shredded his check, who had ignored policy, ignored respect, and nearly destroyed his future, was finally facing the consequences. The bank's confidence had turned to scrutiny, its flawed protocols exposed by one determined veteran refusing to be silenced. This wasn't just about a check, it was a story of power, prejudice, and accountability. A reminder that those who serve deserve unwavering respect, and those who abuse their power will answer for it. Because when you destroy a veteran's lifeline, you don't just shred paper, you shred your own credibility, and justice finds a way. John sat quietly on the bench, watching the last of the agents leave the bank. The heavy weight he'd carried for so long, the frustration, the doubt, the endless waiting, felt lighter now. This moment wasn't just about a shredded check, it was a turning point. He realized that persistence and standing firm, even against doubt and indifference, could demand respect and force change. For decades, he'd served his country with quiet strength. Now he saw that strength wasn't just in battle, but in speaking up when it mattered most. The system that had almost failed him was being held accountable, and that truth was powerful enough to shake walls and open doors. As the sun dipped lower, John stood and walked away from the bank, not just as a veteran fighting for what was rightfully his, but as a symbol of resilience. Proof that one voice, grounded in truth and dignity, can make a difference. If this story moved you, please like and share. Help us grow Black Truth to 10,000 subscribers so we can keep bringing you powerful stories of courage and justice. Your support means everything.